Hey, what's going on there, traders? Chris at VerrilloTrading here. This video is going to be called How to Make an OG Full Pin Full Max Trading DOM in Sierra Chart. And it's going to look something like the ones that are on this screen right here. So I often get questions from viewers and they say, hey bud, how do you make your chart? This is a really nice chart you got there. I like the way you've got the chart bars here, and then you have a trading DOM here, and then you can place orders as many times as you want. And I had the trading locked there. You might as well just go on trade simulation mode. What you're going to see in this video is I'm going to show you exactly how to make this in Sierra Chart. It's not very hard, and hopefully this video can help users out there to become more proficient in using the Sierra Chart software for creating chart books, managing your chart books, and just simply organizing things the way you would want them for your own unique way of trading. Okay. All right. If you do enjoy this content, remember to hit that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We've got plenty of other tutorials, and you might want to reference some other tutorials that are on the website sierrachart.com because they have some pretty good tutorial videos as well. Let's get to it now. The first thing I want to tell you guys in this video, which I think is very important, is that this design or this chart book is totally unique to what I want to see based on the way that I trade the markets, the strategies that I employ and trade the markets. Now, these charts are also trading charts. So if you watched our other video, which was Sierra Chart, how to optimize it, we said about how it's very important to keep your more complicated and longer dated charts in another instance of the software entirely. This instance is only for trading, and if I go up to window and then windows and chart books, you can see there's only 5 charts here, and these charts are very minimal. This is the one with the trading DOMs in it, and this is the one with my charts in it. You can see it's barely using any memory, barely using any processing power, and to be fair, the markets are not moving much now. When they are moving, this can increase a little bit, but really this is just a very lightweight software, and that is what Sierra Chart is really known for, is just a super reliable lightweight software that is very hard to break until you start doing some crazy things like messing with the code and using symbols that are not meant to put volume profiles on, like high price stocks and whatever. And so I'll show you in this video how to create this trading DOM, or how to create this chart DOM, because that's basically what it is. It's a chart and it's got a DOM on it. Now I got to inform you guys of a couple of things before we start. It's that you actually will not be able to get your DOM exactly like this unless you download a custom study, which was created by a friend of mine, which is the price column in the label column, which allows you to have a resizable price column, because normally in Sierra Chart you are stuck with the width of the price column and you cannot resize that. So for particular symbols like US Treasuries, you're going to see later in the video how those price columns are very wide. And if you do want the thinner price column, so that way you can read your bid and offer and it looks like an old school DOM from XTrader or Trading Technologies, you're going to need to download that study. So maybe I'll leave you a link to the video where you can check that out. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. And let's start off by taking this chart and copying it into another chart book, a blank chart book. So I will select chart, then duplicate the chart to a chart book, and I will create a new chart book and then switch to that chart book. So now we have a brand new chart book with this trading DOM chart. So what I'm going to do is show you how to create this from scratch. And maybe also for a bonus, I'll explain to you some of the custom indicators I have on it. Probably not in full detail, unfortunately, but I will just explain to you what they are doing. Like, for example, some of you are going to say, what's that big number at the top of your screen there? Huh? What do you think that is, mystery boy? All right, there. So let's go to File, Find Symbol, and we're going to open up a brand new chart for a symbol. So in this case, I'll just use futures, a symbol that trades on the Chicago Board of Trade. So we'll use one of the US Treasury symbols. Let's go ahead and find a ZF. Just to keep it consistent, that's the same symbol that's on this chart right here. So this is the 5-year Treasury note, and we're going to open the same exact chart. It's going to be an intraday chart, and here we have it. That is the chart. And you can see it looks as though there are some custom graphics that are being applied to this chart. That's the first thing that I would like to talk about in this video, which is the chart graphics settings. Now, a lot of you people, when you first use Sierra Chart, you find that you can change the graphic settings of your chart by selecting the chart and then going to chart graphic settings for the chart, and you start changing things around here. The more efficient way to work with graphic settings in Sierra Chart is by using the global graphic settings, because in the global graphic settings you can actually save custom configurations. So if I go to global settings, graphic settings global, here there's a little drop down menu where you can actually save up to 20 different graphic settings configurations. In this case, you can see there's 2 of them that I've saved at the top here. This is very convenient in the case that you have a particular setting and you want to apply it to all the charts in your chart book all at once, and you don't want to have to worry about tweaking settings on individual charts. And basically you have your graphic setting applied to all the charts at once, and then you can also switch between different layouts if you want that. So if I select a different graphics configuration, then I click on load settings, you can see that now the graphics for my charts have changed because these charts are set to use the global setting. And the way you make sure it's doing that is by selecting your chart, going to chart, graphic settings for the chart, and then check the box for use global graphics settings instead of these settings. So make sure for whatever charts you have, check that box, and it might be checked by default, but I'm not totally sure of that. So when that is checked, it will always default to your global graphics settings. So what we're gonna do to start is just use the basic graphics setting in Sierra Chart, which is basically this one. And so these are the colors that you pretty much see the first time you open a chart or trading DOM in Sierra. And now we will make this chart look exactly like this one. The first thing that I've done is I've actually changed the graph draw type for this chart. So you go up to chart, graph draw types, and I changed it to a candlestick chart. So there we go, now we have candlesticks. The next thing is, in order to get the trading DOM on the chart, you actually need to select trade, then trading chart DOM on. So now we have a trading DOM on the chart. Okay, now as you can see here, the value scale for this chart is different than that one. That is because, as I previously mentioned, that value scale is actually a custom study. The other thing you might notice is that the scale for this chart is a little bit different than that one. We can change that simply by using the interactive scale range features in Sierra Chart. So if I go over and right click on the value scale, I'm going to set this to a constant scale range. And now when I hold the control key and the chart is on interactive scale move, when I hold the control key, it will temporarily switch it to interactive scale range, which is a cool feature. So now I can condense that scale range to get it to be more consistent with the one on my other chart. So as you can see, it's starting to look more and more like that, except for the wider price scale. The next thing that we can do is enable the grid lines on our chart. So there we go, I've now activated it by going to chart, horizontal grid, and then region 1, enabling the horizontal grid in that chart region. Now, if you do not have a grid on your chart DOM, there's actually a setting for that in global settings, chart DOM settings. If I bring that over, this setting for extend chart horizontal grid onto the chart DOM, I have it set to yes. When you turn that off, you can see the grid disappears from the trading DOM. So I like to keep that on personally. The next thing is, in order to get this chart the way it looks, is of course you set it to the same bar period. In this case, it's just a 1-minute chart, but you can set this to any time frame you want. And another thing to note is that depending on the symbol that you use here, you will probably need to use a different sort of scale range to make it work. For example, if I do bring up a different chart book, like if I open this one, you'll see that the scale range for this is drastically different than it is on the other chart book. So I'm not really a fan of having only one chart and you can switch between different symbols that have different price display formats. I think that's very technical and probably something very annoying to overcome. So that is why I make chart books for different markets that I trade. This one in particular is for trading the equity indexes. And also this graphics configuration is the default one in Sierra Chart. And we'll get to that at the end of the video if you want to see the colors that I use for my graphics configuration. So I'll switch back over. There's the chart book I use for trading US Treasuries. And here's the chart book that we were just working on now. So I guess the next thing we can talk about here is the studies that I use on my chart. So as you can see, on this chart, there are some volume by price studies. There's volume profiles. And all this is really being used for is seeing the real-time volume for the real-time price action. Now, this is going to be something that is unique to you, right? Because some traders might want to display the volume by price for the entire session. Other traders might only want to display it for the last X time period. For me personally, again, unique to the way I trade, I only display very recent volume by price on my profile. And if I go into the settings for that, now I'm in the study settings for that chart, These are the three volume by price studies right here. So volume, delta, and the POC right there. And they're each set to different sort of time frames. So if I go into the volume by price, this one is set to a graph period type of one period based on a number of bars on the chart. So the time period of the chart, or the bar period, is set to 1 minute. So now when you set this to based on bar count, it's going to ask you here how many bars in the chart, and I have it set to 3 for a number of bars based on bar count. So what this profile is basically showing me is volume by price, or whatever I have it configured to show me based on volume by price data, for 3 bars of the chart. That's what it's set to, okay? And I also have the identical volume by price study, which is showing me the same time period, so 3 bars, but instead of volume by price, it's showing me the ask volume minus the bid volume. And the way I have that set is here. Display volume in bars, ask volume minus bid volume, while the other one is set to show total volume. Okay, and also the color settings are different in the subgraphs tab. And then there is one other volume by price that we had here, which you can see the bars are actually hidden away, and all it's doing is highlighting the point of control. And this one is set to the last 12 bars of the chart. And again, this is not really a magic number. These are just settings that we had set a while back, and they've worked for us thus far, so we haven't had to change them. But again, in your own trading, based on what you do, what you look for, this is probably not going to work for you, so you're going to have to set this yourself. So if you want more information on how to configure the volume by price study in Sierra Chart, there actually is a video on the Sierra Chart website showing how to do that and different ways that you can do that. Okay. Next, in regards to studies on the chart, the rest of them are mostly custom studies, which I can briefly go over, but I will not explain to you all the details associated with them, because then this video would be 3 hours long. So let's start with this one, average order size. This study is appearing in one of the trading DOM columns in the general purpose 1 column, and that is this column right here. And as you can see here, all it's doing is spitting out a number for each price point. What this study is actually doing is it is taking the number of contracts on the bid, and it is dividing that by the number of orders, which is other market depth data that we are not displaying here, but it is still present. So I will go to my chart, select trade, then customize chart trade DOM columns. And you can see here, these are the columns that we have. We have the cumulative last size, which is basically just showing us the volume at the last traded price. And then we have the bid size by column, label column for the price, and the general purpose 1 column. The price column is still there, but it is hidden away in the chart settings. We can show how to do that, or we actually show how to do that in the video we made for the study to get the thinner price column. So in this case, there's the general purpose 1 column, and the average order size is there. So what the average order size is just doing is it's taking the data from this column, which is the combined bid and ask number of orders. So that's this column. We just made it appear on our chart. And what it's doing is basically doing 382 divided by 65. And actually there's another calculation in there that we are using to skew the number slightly higher so that it would be more apparent when lower numbers would be here. And all this is doing is it's giving the trader a quick view of what is the average order size that is making up the size on the order book. So it's a quick snapshot of seeing, okay, this is made up of 10 lot traders. Okay, that one's made up of 5 lot traders. Okay, this one's made up of 20 lot traders. Okay, so you can kind of get a snapshot of your larger traders and when smaller traders start chasing the market around, or when smaller traders get caught on one price and then the market doesn't want to trade there. It's very nuanced, and it helps my own trading. It's part of the way that I trade. And no, this indicator is not available to anybody to download. Unfortunately, you have to make it yourself. I'm not giving it to you. The next study on the chart is the one for the price column, which is basically allowing us to have a thinner price column. You need to have this study to make your price scale look like this, or else it's going to look like that, which is maybe fine, but you know, I like this better because my eyes don't have to move as much, and I just kind of see the price, the bid and the ask, and then that's all basically. I don't have to, you know, move my eyes around the screen constantly, which is easier to work with. There's another custom study on the chart, which is that number that was being displayed near the top there, and right now the text is set to black. And what this study is doing is actually something interesting, which I won't explain to you the use case, unfortunately. But in this case, what it's doing is it's showing me 24.94% of the average liquidity at each price point. So what this 137 is that it means that this is around 25% of the size that is at every price on average based on the prices that I'm showing. It's taking the sum of all of these, then it's dividing them by the number of levels that are there, and that number is spitting out an average. So it's saying, okay, on average, there's 500 at each price. And then I'm taking a percentage of that using another input and I'm displaying that there. And I'm actually sending this value to other places as well for automated trading purposes. So that is it. Now we can talk about the graphic settings. So we'll go over to global settings, then graphic settings global. And I will now switch over to the other saved graphics setting that we had. And we can go ahead and look at these color settings. It's really nothing crazy, in fact. In regards to colors, this is something that could be unique to each user. We'll show you the colors that we use. So for the chart text, we use black. Chart value scale text is black. These are new settings that were recently added. For the chart background, we use something like an off gray. For RGB, it's 178 for all three values. For the chart grid, we use a slightly darker gray. In this case, RGB 157 for each value. Now, if we scroll down, the last trade price box, if you do not have the custom price scale study, this will be set right here. By default, it's set to something else, but we just enable this, enable the last trade price box, and then set it to the common yellow setting, which is here in Sierra chart 255, 255, and 0. Bar high up and bar high low. These are interesting, actually. So even if you have these set to candlesticks, the width of these actually make a difference. Take a look. So if I change the width to 1, you'll notice how the width changes there. I liked this setting set to 2 just because sometimes I'll zoom out the chart and I just thought it looked better to have that set to 2 or 3. And you can see there, the higher you set it, the more it's going to widen the wicks for each candlestick. So for me, 2 was the setting for the width for those. And the colors now, the colors for the candlesticks. In Sierra, their default color setting is close to this. It's not exactly this. The fill is a brighter color. So in this case, the outline is set to this green. The fill is set to that green. And then for the down bars, the outline is set to this red. And the fill is set to this red. Okay, those are default colors in Sierra charts. You can just click on them. This is regarding the crosshair on your chart. So if you do use the crosshair, we set that to black generally. Settings windows colors, these are also important for the new settings windows in Sierra chart. Chat window, that's pretty cool too. Now here, chart DOM column separator lines. Now these ones, if I enable that, you might not see it, but actually what this is, it's a separator line where your price column is. So if you just kind of look right where I'm hovering my cursor, you see there's like an extra little line there. I will disable that. And you can see the line has disappeared. So that's just an extra line where your price column is. I disable it. It might be enabled by default. Okay, now we have the colors for the buy column and the sell column. So this is the color we use for the buy column. You can copy it exactly if you want. RGB is 121, 183, 244. And that is just a color that we found was fine. The buy column lines are set to a slightly darker gray, in this case 128 on all three. And what those are, it's the lines that are around the buy and sell columns. The sell column background is set to this top left red here, which RGB is 255, 128, 128. That's the color for our sell column. And the lines are set to the same gray as we had on the buy column right there. The dark gray 128, okay? Let's keep going. Ask and bid background. Now, in the case that you want to have a different color for your trading DOM versus the background of the actual chart, you can enable this. I've enabled this in the past, but I found, it didn't really make a big difference. So for example, let's say you wanted to make the background of your trading DOM like green or something, which I don't know why you would want to do that. You would change it right there and you would have to enable this setting. Okay, so if you enable the ask background and bid background, it will give you a different color for the background of only your trading DOM or only the chart DOM section of your chart, and it will not apply to the background of your chart. Next, we have the quantities for the market depth. In this case, the background is disabled for both the ask and bid background. There are different ways to display this. Some people display it with a histogram. We remove those entirely. We don't think that the histogram really matters too much for our own trading, but some people like it. The quantities are black, which is the same color as the text color for the chart. Best bid and ask box background. This setting enables some sort of a box like that for the best bid and offer. Some people like that. It's also a pretty cool setting that can highlight the bid and the ask. Let's keep going down here. Most of these settings were default. Maybe the buy order quantity, we did change it to blue. By default, this is set to some green color for the trading orders that appear on your trading charts. The value scale text is black. Now we have certain settings for the cumulative last size column. For the chart DOM, that is, those are set here. And I have these 4 enabled. So cumulative last size, ask trade, bid trade, same price, and side text color. For the ask side, it's black, and for the bid side, it's white. The reason for that is because I have a darker background for bid trades, which is a dark red. And the ask has a lighter background. So I set the text color to black when the background is a lighter color, so you can see it better. And you can get a demonstration of that right there. If you use market by order data, these will be set right here. For example, bid market orders, ask market orders. I just set the text color to black to match the text color on the chart. On this DOM, we're not displaying the market by order data, but we can show that to you if you want. And there's different other things here regarding your chart trading windows. And for any of these order lines where we have buy orders and sell orders, we set them to blue for buy orders, and the sell orders, we left them default. Okay. And I think that that is pretty much all of the color settings. So remember, these color settings mostly apply to the chart DOM. And if you do use a trading DOM, then those color settings will be applied to the trade DOM color settings, which are different, and they're near the bottom of the global graphics settings. Maybe I should have said that earlier in the video. We'll switch back over there and we'll just kind of show you guys some examples of what we have going on here. So I'll go to global settings and I'll just disconnect to the data feed and reconnect, but this time I'll use market by order data and more market depth levels. So let's say 30 levels. Disconnect, reconnect. Let's see if that worked. There we go. So now we have our market by order data showing up there, and all of the indicators on the chart are pretty much the exact same thing. And that is pretty much how you make a prop trading DOM in Sierra Chart. And we'll leave the links to some of those custom studies down below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope it helped. Take care.